And I'm so grateful for that. Today I come to you from San Diego as I'm sheltering in place to bring this message to you about tough love. And I'm sure you know what tough love is. I sure know what tough love is because as I was growing up, my mom instituted tough love on my life because she desired a greater good for me. And she said, Gordon, well, of course, she said it in Chinese, Gordon, you cannot go play a basketball. No, just kidding. She said, Gordon, you can't play basketball until you improve your grades because she cared about my education, right? And so she instituted tough love. So she said, you can't play basketball till your grades get better. And so when my grades got better, then I could do it. And it was good because it helped me to become a better student. And my mom cared about me that way. And that's what tough love is. You have probably examples of that in your own life. In the Bible, tough love comes to us. Well, we learn about tough love and we see examples of it in a lot of different ways. I'll tell you one way that's different from the way I experienced it. And that is in Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 14, when God says to Abraham, Abraham, take your son Isaac, your one and only son, up to the mountain and offer him as a sacrifice to me. Now, you all know from reading Genesis chapter 12 that God said to Abraham that you will be a great nation, and through your offspring, you will have many offspring as much as the stars are in the skies, right? And Abraham had a hard time having children, and when he finally had one, Isaac, God says to Abraham, offer him as a sacrifice to me. That's crazy. But the crazy part was that Abraham agrees. Abraham does it. You know why Abraham does it? Because he obeys God and he loves God. And obedience to God is love. We learn about that in, let's see, in John chapter 14, verse 23 and 24. If you love me, you will obey what I command. That's what God says, right? And so Abraham loves and trusts God and obeys God. This tough love, because he is being asked to give of his one and only son, through whom the prophecy says that Abraham will be the father of a great nation and his descendants will be as many as the stars in the sky. And Abraham agrees to this. That's tough love. Because as a parent, wow, that would be something that would be hard for me to do. Really hard, because I love my children, but I also love God. And you know what is amazing? An even greater example of tough love, and that is this: when God took his own son and offered him as a sacrifice. And the difference between Abraham's sacrifice and God's sacrifice of their one and only child was that God provided a lamb or a ram for Abraham in place of his son at the last moment. But in the last moment of Jesus' life, there was no one to take his place. He became our sacrifice. And that, to me, is the greatest example of tough love there ever was. To lay down or to offer your son as a sacrifice, and for that son, Jesus, to lay down his own life on his own accord for all of us. Wow, that's amazing. And you know what I love so much about God? That is this: that God never ever asks us to do anything that he himself doesn't do first. And so when he says to offer yourself as as a living sacrifice in Romans chapter 12 verse 1 and 2, that's only because Jesus did it first. And so today, may we look at the example of tough love in the Bible, the toughest kind of love, to give fully of yourself in obedience to God, that we would live out that love, that tough love for ourselves too, to obey God completely because we love him. And may that be our example. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day.